11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. We come to you live every day at noon Pacific, or noon Eastern. That makes it 9 a.m. Pacific for about an hour or 90. We run the show live on YouTube. We simulcast it on gunchannels.com. Comments from the people that are watching the show live. We appreciate everybody that joins us for the show. We do 3 gun-related topics each day. We do different topics throughout the week, and occasionally we'll take the show and post it over the audio from the show and post it on iTunes as a podcast. Who listens to the show in the future or now that leaves a like or a comment, those actions help keep our shows recommended to more listeners. So we really appreciate people that take the time to do that. So a bunch of hosts, almost everybody is back here today. We have Dano jumping in from Illinois.
Yep, glad to be here as a guest.
We've got Bob jumping in from Canada.
Hey, glad to be here.
We've got Smeggy jumping in on his lunch hours. Thanks for joining.
Hey, how's everyone doing today?
Jimmy James run the show in Arizona. As always, thanks for...
Yeah, absolutely. Good to be here.
I am in Ohio with Pink Panther, who just walked away for a second, but in, let's just say, the middle of Ohio. And yeah, we're about to start episode 400 and something, and I don't have the spreadsheet, so I'll leave it over to Jimmy to tell us what we're talking about today.
It's episode 404.
Yeah, sorry about that. Episode 404 today.
Is 404 anything? Seems like it should be something.
An error. We got for topics. Oh no, wait, that's 504. I'm thinking of my.
Well, every day we try to come up with some try not to be fed by the agenda-based media and what they want to tell us to talk about. So we try to come up with gun topics, and we come up with those topics with our audience once or twice a month. And throughout the month, if you have suggestions, you can always email them to us at dailygunshow@gmail.com. So what do you got today?
And today's topics are CCW. When is a laser on your handgun okay? Excuse me. Today on Gun Stuff, we will be talking about, is reloading worth getting into, and training. I did have one here. Hold on a second. Stand by. Is
like training with a friend or something. I saw it earlier.
Yeah, I don't know how I deleted it or I deleted it. But yeah, it was. It's training alone versus training with a friend.
The procedure is whenever you delete something, blame it on Bob, because he doesn't know when he deletes stuff, so he accepts the.
I delete today.
It might have been me. It's okay, but we'll just blame you to be safe.
Okay.
And of course, we have our gun of the day, gun movie of the day, and all that good stuff. Usually we like to start the show with anything happening overnight or in the early hours of the morning. I got nothing today. Early Watch was a pretty good chat. Last night there was a few good chats on. I think Clover had his chat. I think Matt was on last night, so there was a few good ones on.
I was driving most of the night. I did a drive from basically DC. Marco lives kind of outside of DC, towards Pink here in Ohio. That took me down what they call the America's Highway. I think it was one of the first highways that connected the country east and west. Kind of a pretty area and stuff. And stopped by the ATF headquarters yesterday. We did the show there. Well, the quarters. And after that, pretty much it was kind of neat. As I drove through the Gettysburg battlefields there, I didn't realize it until after I was already past it. I didn't incorporate the tour. So obviously it's American history in that, but specifically, I'm pretty sure, wasn't it one of the Gettysburg campaigns or battles that guys doing the charge with a bayonet? That's one of my favorite stories
Well,
from the.
Yeah, I think Gettysburg was kind of where the North was first really had a lot of the Springfield rifled muskets, and they did a huge amount of damage. That was, I think, Pickett's charge, where he basically lost his whole unit, his whole command in the charge, because literally where normally with a smoothbore they might get hit with 2 volleys. Pickett's did charge, like there was like maybe 30 guys left and only 1 officer was all that was left out of thousands that started the charge, and they managed to make the stone wall that the North was defending. But I mean, it was 30 guys up against 3,000, so it was pretty horrendous. One of the worst disasters, I think, of the battle, of any of the Civil War battles.
I don't know about that. Yeah, he ran 30 against 3,000. They ran down the hill. They ran down the.
I think we lost you, G.
He was breaking up pretty bad there.
Yeah.
100 men or something, or very few men, and basically overtook by sheer awe and bayonets the Confederates down at the bottom, who surrendered their working fire with empty guns and bayonets. I'll restart.
All right, well, G's restarting. What are we going to talk about in the meantime? So, Spanky, you and Dano, what are you guys doing here? Who left the door open?
Make.
Yes, my schedule got reversed today due to a medical condition. So I had to change my schedule a little bit, and that made me available midday.
Cool. And Smeggy, you're on your lunch break, I guess.
Yeah, I'll just be here for the little first part of the show. Maybe the first topic, I'm not sure.
Okay, cool.
I said I would try and jump in when you guys change the time as often as I can, so.
All right on, man. That's cool.
Yeah, it's definitely good to have you here. So I guess with that, since we're waiting on G-Webs, you guys want to just jump into the first topic? Oh, never mind. There he is.
Okay. Well, we'll hear about the Gettys.
Oh, I don't know. You pretty much described the battle. I didn't realize I was going to be driving right near it, so I was just saying I'm going to try to include that story into the tour.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's quite an amazing story.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So I guess we could jump into the first topic. When is it okay to have a laser, or when is a laser on your handgun okay? I guess I'll go first. I'm kind of indifferent towards it. I don't like the idea of people like taking it and kind of relying on it in training. I feel like it could be somewhat of a handicap, but I'm also kind of indifferent to it. Carrying it wise, I don't think it's something that you should depend on. But I'm not going to say never do it.
I had an interesting. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's just kind of phrased weird of like, when is it okay to carry a laser? Like, it's inherently bad except for these other types. And I'm with you, Jimmy. I mean, I get concerned when people only rely on it, but at the same time, I think it can be a useful tool, especially if you're injured or something happens where you're behind cover and you can't really get a good sight picture. You can still kind of hold your hand out there, look where the laser's pointed, and pull the trigger.
Yeah, I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with it's okay as long as it doesn't make the gun look stupid, because, I'm all about aesthetics. So some of those little ones that are like built in the grips that you don't even notice, those I think could be fine. And yeah, in low light conditions, they could be a real asset. I think even what Smeggy says, just being able to put the dot on something, if you're trying to hide behind cover. So yeah, I think it's fine to put them on as long as you're not putting some big, ugly, god awful thing hanging under the barrel that makes it look like a brick more so than they already do.
I do have an observation from the last class I was at. There were 10 people in it, and there was one guy that had a laser on his gun. And what I thought, I thought it was interesting just observing him shoot, because the class was how to be faster and more accurate. So that was the focus. It wasn't a tactics class. It was basically to improve your speed and your accuracy. And in the daylight, it was a green laser, and I could see how literally distracting that laser is to at least that particular operator, and even myself trying to follow, because it's bouncing all over the place when he's trying to be fast. And I can see it very much, at least for myself and for the guy shooting, very distracting. Trying to concentrate on where's the green dot, where's the green dot, where's the green, and it's jumping all over the place as you're like chasing the dot, like a cat trying to go after a laser on the floor. So I think there's some, now for some people it may work. I don't know. I'm not going to give a bad or a good. All I know is it seems like there's some possible real negatives with it.
You're saying that the guy that was using a laser was having a harder time with a laser, being fast?
Yes.
And what kind of
a
laser
harder
was it?
time being more accurate.
What kind of laser was it,
It was integral, or came with the gun. It was so I forget what kind of Ruger it was.
Okay, so those kind, you have to reach forward with your trigger finger or with your support hand and push that little slider either one side or the other, correct? Or is that what it seemed like? Was he fiddling with it, or was he just like leaving it on? I'm curious.
It was
with.
I'm not sure how it first got activated, but he claimed to the instructor that he did indeed zero the laser.
Well, zeroing the laser is one thing, but activating it is another. So if, like, say on the, I don't know, I can't say I know every type of Ruger. Maybe I'm thinking of that Smith that's got the bodyguard or whatever. But unless it's got, or does the Ruger have a grip actuated trigger or switch?
And that's what I don't know. It could have been the one where you have to reach out with the finger, or it could be grip activated. I'm not sure. My comment was really just on.
Well, no, I know what you're saying, and I'm saying if you have. Go ahead.
No, I didn't say anything.
I'm just saying that depending on how you have to turn it on. And so if you've got one with like a switch in your on your shooting grip, that's something that your brain just tells your hand to squeeze harder or not. Where if it's something that you got to move your trigger finger or you rely on your support hand fingers to turn it on, push the front of your gun over to turn that laser on, then that dot's going all over the place, because now you're adding the front of your gun that you either have to learn how to do subtly as you draw, which I would think is pretty tough, or deal and aim towards the person, which again is adding time. I can't see that beneficial in any way for either training or actual real life. It's nonsense. But anyway, if it's the other type where you just grip harder with your non-shooting fingers of your shooting grip hand, for unlike the reasons Bob said, I agree with Bob that if it's a laser that's useful, like a Crimson Trace on a revolver, the revolver hard, and that turns the laser on so hard it's not on, but you don't have to do anything with the support hand. Trigger finger, so your trigger finger can do its job, then that laser is different than one of these things you clamp onto the front or that's attached to the front of the gun intricately, like what Dan was saying. I think it's the bodyguard that I'm thinking of, where it's literally part of the frame and it's got this ridiculous switch that you have to flip over. Bodyguard, which is basically the same situation. You got to pressure left and right on the front of your gun as you're drawing it or aiming it. It makes no sense. And then with that complicated one, you have to push it once or twice to be pulsing or standard. I understand why anybody would want something like that. So little, only because technology means all lasers aren't the same. Some lasers are awesome and great, and some lasers are a joke. Who's left? Anybody? Smeggy go? Yeah, Smeggy went.
Jim.
I think Jimmy.
Yeah, well, I said that I could kind of see him being a handicap to people, but I sort of agree with the Crimson Trace ones, the grip, the ones that are fixed on the grip. But I also could see that being good for maybe a first shot, but your follow-up shot, like Dano was saying, I don't know, I feel like that recoil would kind of throw your laser everywhere, but.
Well, unless you're like Dano and shoot 9mm, because then it's like shooting a 22.
Yeah, but I'm like I said before, I'm pretty much indifferent to it. If people want to carry it, carry it. Now, how about like infrared? If you got, I mean, it's not like we usually do any nighttime stuff or anything like that, but you could use an infrared laser and kind of use that, and not much, but it has a little bit of a spill on it. If you have night vision, I guess.
Yeah, if you happen to be wearing your night vision.
Yeah, if you throw on
Yeah.
But yeah, I got an infrared laser on. I got one for my handgun, which I never use, and then I got one on my rifle just in case.
Right. Well, I think we pretty much agreed. Lasers are good.
Yeah.
In certain conditions.
But you need to be aware of what their strengths and weaknesses are to use them effectively.
Well, that goes without saying. We've all had internet gun training, so.
It doesn't go without saying, because not everybody is aware of that, of some of the pros and cons.
Then they need to watch more YouTube videos.
That's another topic.
Glad to have you back, Dano.
So glad to be back, Bob.
Children.
Yeah, I think we solved that one. So
yeah. Usually after our first segment, we move on to gun channel member of the day. I don't know if you guys got anybody lined up. There's one person left on this email, so if you don't got anybody, I do.
Well, you go right ahead then, I think.
You would say something like that, because today's member comes to us from Angry, and it's Bob. Angry says, staple of the Daily Gun Show, very active on all the chat, or on most of the chats on gun channels, and been around forever. Yeah, Bob's all right.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah, when he makes the show, he actually has the potential to contribute, and it's really appreciated.
Building my internet with a hatchet up here, man. Give me a break.
Yeah.
So I guess nobody else cares about Bob. That's cool. That was our gun channel member of the day. Let's go see if we have anything going in the comments here. And Daily Gun Show. Nothing. Let's see. We got John out there, Tony out there, Dog Body. What's up, guys? On the YouTube side. John says Bob sounds like a penguin when he laughs. uh, let's see.
A penguin? I don't even think penguins make sounds, do they?
No, they just go. Wah, wah.
No, they have a squawk. Yeah.
All right, so I guess with that we could go into our second segment here, gun stuff. Let's see. Is reloading worth getting into? Well, I kind of started sort of reloading here. I don't have my own setup, but I use my uncle-in-law's, and yeah, I noticed a little bit of a savings of money. I guess that if I was doing it big time, like thousands and thousands of rounds every week or weekend or something like that, I guess I would notice a substantial difference. But like I said, I'm not totally into it yet. I've noticed a small saving.
Yeah, I think that the two biggest factors are the volume that you shoot as far as potential cost savings, and the other is the caliber that you shoot, and is it a an expensive round to purchase, like 338 Lapua, as an example, is an expensive round to shoot, so that you certainly definitely would want to reload if you're going to shoot those in any sort of quantity.
That is true.
So those are the two variables that come to mind. The other is just simply the enjoyment of the activity. If it's something that you just kind of like, some people like playing solitaire. It's except this one you actually get product when you're all done that you can actually use. So there is a positive end to it. It's just not unlike solitaire. Nothing wrong with solitaire. That's just a time killer.
Yeah, well, a lot of people will sit and reload while they're in the chats and stuff because
yeah, exactly, and that's what I was towards.
I could see it being great if you were trying to quit smoking because number one, you could smoke while you're reloading. Number two, you're doing something with your hands.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the cost reason is one of the reasons. 454. Once I started getting into the big bore caliber, I guess I noticed how expensive a 20 round box of ammunition was. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to figure something out here. So yeah, that was one of my main reasons.
So what did it cost you to get into that round, and how much is the retail price per round versus the amount you're able to put one together for?
Retail price, you're looking at about, depending on where you go. If you go online, it's a little bit cheaper, but just to make an average, it's about $30 for a box of 20. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. And when I reloaded it, I did 50, and let me see here. And so I would say that it almost cut it down to like $30. In around cut the $30 into about maybe 24. But like I said, I wasn't doing a lot. I feel like if I was doing it more in bulk, like 1,000 rounds of ammo retail versus 1,000 rounds of ammo that I've done myself, that's where I think I'll notice a difference.
So you made 50 for $24?
Yeah.
Versus $30 for 20. That's a huge savings.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but I'm saying though, I'm sure that I would notice it a lot more,
Yeah, and then it depends on how often you shoot.
Yeah.
And some guns, after 6 to 10 rounds might be enough.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. But yeah, so I totally think it's worth getting in. It's at least worth trying. My main issue, like this is still the reason why I haven't gotten my own setup yet. Every time I get a couple $100 that I could just say, you know what, I guess I could throw this on a press, or I could throw this on, something for reloading. I usually end up wanting to buy ammo with, like I got the money right now. I want the ammo right now. I mean, I don't know. It's just been hard for me to drop that money, that initial getting into it money. I don't know if that would be a problem for most people out there or something, I guess, getting into it. or a factor at least, anyways.
Yeah, and there is always, you can find used stuff for a lot cheaper, so that helps.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, shop around and all that. Sean out there is saying he's got 454 down to about 14 cents a round.
Holy, that is dirt cheap.
Yeah. Let's see. Clay says reloading is not recommended for those who are confused easily.
Hey, I resent that. I reload 12 gauge with a stick and a nail.
You know, where it's connected to your phone? I didn't even think of that, but I should probably get like a car stereo that you just Bluetooth and then when I do like a chat.
I can't hear you, G-Webs.
Oh, I didn't realize I had my mic on. I was talking to Pink. I wasn't talking to you people.
You ain't got time for that.
Put me on the back burner. This is the last time I come back and do a special appearance.
What else? On the gun channel side, Smeggy was saying even if you're shooting 9mm, you can make your money back in about a year. So yeah. Morning, Ghost. Let's see. Tony Ellum on the YouTube. Reloading sounds like fun. I don't have the time or space to do it. More importantly, I don't trust myself not to blow up my gun. That was a factor too. When I was getting into it, that was a huge factor. I was really scared. But the only thing that ended up happening was I had 2 primers that didn't go off. No matter how much I put them back in the gun and shot them and put them back in the gun and shot them. So I think that was a fluke. But
Yeah,
I'm definitely
primers.
Yeah, I'm definitely not the smartest guy in the world, and I made it work. So I wouldn't have that as a fear. But the time and the space, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I've kind of looked at, how to do it in the camper, and it would be possible, but it would just take up so much space.
Oh, okay, yeah. Tony over there on YouTube side, Sean said he has a video. I don't have the link on me right now, but he said he has a video for reloading in small spaces. So maybe that'll be a way to get around it. Now all you need is time.
Yeah. That's all I need. Yeah, time.
Well, I guess it's safe to say that one's solved too. I mean, it's definitely worth getting into.
Yeah, I think I agree. Yeah. Maybe not for everybody, but like I say, if you just want to reload 12 gauge, you can do that with a stick and a nail and a block of wood. They're pretty easy. And that might be a way a lot of people could get into it and see whether they even like to do it. Do something simple like that. If you shoot shot.
But I don't think that is simple. I think that's like really crude, and like that wouldn't necessarily show you how you're going to like reloading with like Dylan, right? I mean, it's apples and oranges. It might show you like to assemble a cartridge or whatever, but I don't think it's really a taste of reloading. It's like a taste of like that'd be like telling somebody to take a small hatchet and go cut firewood off of a non-cut down tree and experience a campfire. There's a lot easier ways, a lot more newer ways to experience it. I would say maybe go to somebody who has a reloading setup and either watch or participate while they reload. That would give you like an idea if you like it or not. Because I think the way you're talking about, so many people start that way and they quit because it seems laborious and tough and super slow.
Well, I'm not saying do it for like 2 years that way. I'm saying if you want to get a taste of it, it's the most basic way you can reload. And it's not that laborious. We're talking shotgun shells are pretty big. It makes a big difference. Size of them.
It's horrible. So I'm going to say better cost efficient way to see if you like it is go hang out with somebody who does it. Or maybe a shop that has a reloading setup and just ask to look over their shoulder or something or get some tips. or a basic run through or something, because then you can see what it's like with an actual machine. That's a taste.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was definitely lucky in that aspect where I had my uncle-in-law. He's been doing this thing since 20 something years. So I was lucky to have somebody to teach me kind of how to do it.
Actually, I guess now you got YouTube. I mean, I wouldn't be sitting there actually with a machine, but you could see the process from all the various machines real
Oh
quick.
yeah.
Having somebody to watch and see what they're doing and the precautions that they're taking to give you an idea that you're not making a rocket ship, but it does require some care while you're doing it in the process itself. So I would agree with having somebody else to watch. So it's not
That's
something
good.
that if you buy the equipment, you can necessarily resell real quickly to get your money back if you don't like it.
Yeah.
It feels good to have solved reloading for people.
Yes. And speaking of that, it's time. It's time. It's time for the Tactical Pop Quiz. Yes, boys and girls, it's back today and today only. So those of you over on YouTube and those of you over on gun channels, put your pencils down, put your cursors in the text box, limber up your fingers and your brains, and get ready for the question because it's going to come in just a moment. So is somebody available to act as the official on the questions and answers while I read?
I am over on gun channels as we speak.
Okay. Have you seen in the show notes, you'll see the question as well as the answer. It is a two-part question and answer. Have you seen the answer?
Da.
Column M, GC quiz.
Yes.
Okay. And
Right.
I don't have YouTube up. Let me see if I can get YouTube. So I'm not exactly prepared for this.
It's an off the cuff one, yeah.
I got YouTube up, so
Oh, you got YouTube, and have you seen the answer, Bob?
yes.
Okay. All right. Everybody out there, here is the question. And I shall read it twice. Who is credited with the design of the first suppressor, and what year was it sold? Who is credited with the design of the first suppressor, and what year was it sold? Two parts. Put them on the same line. Don't break them apart. So we want a first and last name and a year. Tick, 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 tick. Our special effects guy is out of town, so you have to put up with me. First and last name. Tick, 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 tick.
We got a
Yep.
winner
Tick,
over
tick,
here.
tick, tick.
We need a first and
Oh, we do.
We need a first name and a last name, or are you just accepting last name? Or never mind. We got a winner.
and
Okay.
last name.
Okay, and the Clover Tack, and the answer we were looking for, and hopefully he's got it, is Hera Maxim in
Jimmy.
1902.
Yeah, Sean Pinery over on gun channels. I think he had that first.
Okay, I think CloverTac came in, but he had old Maxim, and then he came in with Hiram Maxim afterwards. So I don't know. That was really close.
Yeah, Pinery had
I'll-
Hiram Maxim
Not
1902.
with these like being accurate or anything.
So I will let the judges decide who was the official winner on that one.
Well, we got one and only one Hiram Maxim from Sean Pinery over here. Hiram Maxim 1902.
Yeah, I
And
think
Ponnery has the correct answer and is indeed the winner. So congratulations, Mr. Sean Ponnery. You are today's Tactical Pop Quiz winner of the day. So congratulations, and I'm going to hand it over to Bob.
All right. So Sean Ponnery, that makes you the tactical quiz hot shot of the day.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations, Sean. So back to the show.
I want to say, Clover Attack, nicely done. You were right there. So, yeah.
I don't know. At first, I was suspected that the fix was in, But now that Bob is going back to the well like that, I'm guessing there's already been a payoff.
Money, it's been rumored money has changed hands.
Not into mine, I can tell you.
I know, I'm still waiting on that check. All right, so what do we got next?
We sent a check stated to 2019.
Smart decision on your part. So what do you got next, Jimmy?
We are going into the training section. Training alone versus training with someone else. And this was a forum topic that I was kind of looking at. And it was sort of interesting. And they were talking about after you have initial classes under your belt, few classes, you've trained already in a class, and now you're kind of practicing your training. Is it better to practice your training with someone or alone, or is there really a difference, or does it matter?
It does matter, and it's definitely better to train with someone that you can instruct or coach, somebody that you can relay the information that you learned. Some of the best classes out there teach with that in mind, and they encourage you to go out and share that information, because the saying is the best way to learn is to teach. It's going to share valuable information with good people, and it's going to reinforce what you learned by making you, not just remember it, but then give it to someone else. And then, of course, barring issues, with not being experts or whatever, you at least have someone there who's watching your techniques and then knows a little bit more insight what to look for and give you some coaching. And then, of course, the caveat, I guess, would be continue your education so that you're not, misguided and reinforcing bad habits or something unintentionally. But I think in general, having somebody a couple of people that you can share what you learned and then incorporate it into some kind of drills or something. Those people then, become a network of people who do the same. When they go get training and schooling, they bring it to you guys, and everybody, gets better together.
Yeah, I would add to what G Webb's just said is, regardless of how good or where you are in the process, is you can never see yourself from a profile as far as how you're doing certain things. You can only get the impression of how it feels. You can't see yourself, and that's where having someone, if you're the one who's trying to upgrade your skill level, if that other person has taken a class, and then they know what to look for in the way you're doing things, because you can only go so far training yourself or practicing alone. You can go pretty far, but there is a limit, because you can't see yourself unless you use a camera, and then that's going to take some more time. As well as you're going to get the information long after the fact. You're not going to get that instant feedback of, move your thumb forward or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, I have to kind of agree. It does feel a lot better. Well, it's just more fun too to train with someone else. Like,
yes,
training by yourself can get boring. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's true. So you got somebody else there you can talk to, and like Dano, I even agree with Dano. It's handy to have the other set of eyes watching what you're doing, so they can maybe say, "Oh, you kind of dropped this here," and So, yeah, I even have to agree with Dano a bit.
It's painful. It's like having your toenails pulled out.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement, but I do kind of want to add in, though, the importance of also practicing by yourself. I agree with everything you guys say before I start this, just so you know. I do think it's important to have someone there for you to help teach, because that is a good way to learn. And I do agree with the whole having someone there to critique you and to kind of help you get your stuff down right. I do appreciate all that and agree with all that. But I just want to add in training by yourself. I don't want that to kind of get brushed to the side either. Holstering, unholstering, that's pretty important stuff to learn. getting your draw, making sure you know if you're inside the waistband, removing your garments, all that, you know. Dry fire practice, I think that's an important thing for people to kind of get, you know, into maybe not a daily thing, but, you know.
Yeah, well, that touches on, you know, the perishable skills that you can practice that you don't even have to be at the range for. You know,
Right, yeah.
Your draw stroke and, you know, moving your garment out of the way, and you know, the way you pull, you know, the firearm up and put it into position, you know, is something that if you don't practice it, you will, your ability, whatever it was, even if it was just fair, will become worse over, you know, a relatively short period of time. And you know, for myself, just to stay even, I don't like going less than once a month. I prefer to go more than once a month, as far as my skill level is concerned. Because I notice, like in the wintertime, sometimes I'll kind of dip down as far as how often I'm going, and then when I suddenly go back out to the range, I'll see right on paper that, you know, or in with my timer, that my skills have indeed, you know, gone down. And I have to put the work back in to put them back to where they were.
Well, we all agree that training is important.
You know, whether it's, you know, self-training, training by yourself, or training with someone, you should go out there and when I say training by yourself, I mean going out to the range by yourself and doing exercises to maintain your skills or improve your skills.
Or even on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we killed that one.
Yeah.
Knocked that out of the park, we did.
Well, this spoiled hug is getting even more spoiled. Pink is letting him run around his fenced-in yard.
He's not going to want to come back with you.
Yeah, exactly. Pug already knows how to play everybody. He just looks at people and goes, "I'm a fan, and it's sad." And then they're like, "Oh, let's let him run around in this fenced-in yard."
Yeah. Make sure you poop down the roses. Leaves a little fertilizer behind.
Well, that dog leaves fertilizer pretty much everywhere.
Mostly when you're around, Bob, because, you know, Oro and I didn't have any problems at all. In fact, he could have really given a crap that I was even there.
Oh, yeah. Well, he gave me a crap, all right. Yeah, right under my foot.
He gave you something to coat your shoes with.
Oh, if only I'd been wearing shoes.
What a lovely subject.
Let's slide over to the comments here real quick.
Oh, God. You had to say it that way, didn't you? A little innuendo.
Yeah, you know, I try. Smeggy made a good point. When you're actually going, not practicing your training, but actually going to a training class, it could be less intimidating if you're going to a class. Like your first time going, bring a buddy with you or something like that. Maybe someone that has experience in a class.
Well, even if they don't have experience, just having a buddy go with you, and it's I think would help just about anybody who's a little bit nervous about going to a class for whatever reason. Kind of support
absolutely.
system, so to speak.
Let's throw this in as a good idea, bad idea, because I think this one's interesting. I can't say I agree or disagree either way. I've gone to classes by myself and I've gone to classes with people. It's not all benefit to go with someone. There's definitely benefit in going to something that's out of your comfort zone and that you are there with 100% of the responsibility of keeping track of what's going on and learning everything. Part of that can be, that stress can be part of what a skill set that you're giving yourself. So going with someone all the time is definitely more comfortable. But I guess what I'm saying is sometimes you can use a class, the discomfort and the stress of going to a class as part of the the
Experience.
class. Yeah, part of the experience. So I guess I would fall on both sides. Definitely don't prevent yourself from taking a class because you don't have a friend to go with. I wouldn't, it almost would even, if I had to think about it, I might even say, go to your first class by yourself. There's definitely something to be gained by, like I say, all those things I just said, going and experiencing all that yourself. And then having to bring that back to your friends and re-explain it again is valuable for your own growth. So that'd be an interesting one for good idea, bad idea, I think.
Yeah, I mean, when I gave my answer, I was primarily thinking of somebody new going to an entry-level class only.
I hear you, but I don't want to give the impression that classes are, you got to be in the know or you got to be savvy or it's somehow a benefit, because again, I want people to go.
Whether it's guys or girls, sometimes people are nervous about going in groups that they don't know who's there, that sort of thing. And if that's going to make the difference between either they don't go at all or they go, I'd rather have them go with a buddy than or a girlfriend, whatever. But then, again, you had mentioned couples, you want to split them up.
I didn't say want them together. I never said couples. I don't know about that.
No, I know you did. I did. I'm saying it.
Okay. But I'm also going to say you ain't going to have some friend hanging out when you get into some LF lethal force incident necessarily. So again, I think there's definitely something to be said for going out. And if you're not comfortable with going to something by yourself, that's part of the stuff you're getting out of training. If you haven't gone to summer camp for the first time, as a little kid, that was one of the first times I can remember having to be in that awkward new situation. Once you conquer that, once you're not afraid of going to new stuff, that's a whole barrier that's, good for your whole life set. So if that class, going to a class like Dano did, just getting up and going out of state to a class like that, that's completely alien and, a new experience for you. If that's your first time being able to do something like that, value that piece of it too. Don't wait for some friend to go with you so it's more comfortable.
Yep. And there are some classes where inducing stress, as G-Web's mentioned, is part of the class. Is learning how to perform while you're under stress, not perform when you're all relaxed and loosey-goosey and the world is a wonderful place.
Now, sometimes I'm going to go against that because I can't say I'm 100% for always take a class by yourself, because something like a Masada Ayub class can be infinitely more valuable, even if it's not a friend of yours that goes, but meeting people in the class, because so much information is given to you that it's difficult to absorb it all, and everyone's going to absorb it at a different rate and a different amount and different pieces of it. So having people to go back and, conversate with after is valuable. So that's the kind of class where you could definitely see the advantage having friends.
I guess I think of one example of a class that, stress is absolutely part of it would be any sort of force on force training that you go through with simunitions.
Oh, I want to take that course with you, Dano.
I know you do. But, knowing that, there's a great likelihood that during the day I am going to get shot heightens my level of anxiety with every exercise, regardless of even if it's a don't shoot thing. I don't know when it's coming, where it's coming, or who it's coming from. And that raises my anxiety, and it's supposed to, because in the real world, when shit goes sideways, your anxiety goes to maxes out. So the closest that you can come to that without actually being in it is some sort of force on force using simunitions, because there's going to be, pain. The lessons are going to be made with pain, and that's how they're going to be learned. But they're also going to be learned by avoiding pain. So it works both ways. But I'll know more about that about a month from now.
Well, there's also the speed. You don't have time to think. Anybody can sit here in a conversation and decide what's the best possible scenario.
Right.
But when it happens in front of you, it's like really, it feels like 4 times speed.
Something that has not been discussed on the Daily Gun Show, if you can believe it or not, is in any detail, is a group discussion on OODA loop. cycle, and the role that plays in the decision-making cycle, which plays in the role of when to pull your holster, when not pull your holster, and the role that plays in the entire process.
The unmitigated gall of this character to suggest that we've never talked about OODA loop. Bob, don't you remember the whole OODA loop week that we had pre-Dano?
Oh, yeah.
Just because you didn't listen to every single show before you were a host, I want to just assume we didn't cover the OODA loop.
Well, actually, let me rephrase that. During my tenure.
Okay. Under Let's watch. The OODA loop was completely ignored. You're right.
But so what month would I look to find those shows?
No, I'm just talking shit. I don't think we did talk about the OODA loop at some point, I think, maybe. But no, that's a good point. We probably should talk about that because it's something that once you know about it, it's something you keep in your head all the time.
Yeah. I mean, and it's something that I actually enjoy. You know, it's hard to set yourself up in those situations, but I've been able to experience part of that through one of the classes that I've already taken, and I really enjoyed that aspect because it really did a mind job on myself. And I don't want to go into details about it because if anybody else in the future were to take that class that's listening, I don't want to deny anybody the opportunity of a learning opportunity.
Yes, well, we all know about you and OODA loop.
Now, it's difficult to describe something that is going to throw you for a quote-unquote loop, right? Something that's going to just take you out of your preconceived notions of things. And these theoretical discussions that we have about the gear or the training or even the tactics or our own skill levels is all just chatting. So when you have to do it in real life with your actual body and your own coordination and your own muscle skills, right? And then it happens at real speed. I think that's what Dan was talking about. And it's, you know, without giving away valuable elements of the course, it's a good course will teach you a bunch of things and then show you what you don't know real quick. Like just show you that just because you understand them doesn't mean you've mastered them. It doesn't mean you really
exactly
examined them. It just means that you now know how much you need to learn. And yeah, without it's difficult to describe what they do physically to make that happen. But I know a lot of people like to blow it off because if you just look at it on the surface, oh, they do something that throws you for a loop and blah blah blah. And if you don't think about what it's actually given the student. Anyway, so like I say, that I guess we're beating around the bush there, but there's definitely some better classes out there that can take all this theory and instantly show you that you got a lot to learn and you got a lot to apply.
Yeah. You may know it, but can you do it? And can you do it in a time-effective way?
So all of that came out of, this isn't from lasers still. This was
training.
All this. Is it better to do training with a friend? Or practice?
This was under the training category of 1 or 2 persons.
1 or 2 people to practice though, right? Technically you solved it.
Yeah.
If you're not already shooting with somebody, then that's a good excuse. Hey, I need somebody to watch my draw. We want to go out to the range sometime? Or I just saw something, I watched a video, I want to see if I can do it. Or I just got back from a class, you want to, help me out? So that's a good way to maybe get somebody new out shooting, or just a way to get somebody who shoots, I don't know, long range or cowboy guns all the time, a way to get them to shoot something else with you.
Or yeah, somebody who shoots, but he doesn't shoot as much as you do, a way to kind of get him to come out a little more often.
Yeah, maybe show them something that they didn't think about. Like, oh, I just assumed I could draw, but you're right, you're putting some effort into it there.
Yep.
All right, so we solved that one.
All righty. Where do we go from here? Gun of the day?
Yeah, why not?
All right. Let me
just up, Jimmy.
Okay, well today we're going to take a look at the Kriss Vector carbine.
Again?
What do you mean again? Well, we took a look at it a while ago.
All right.
Yeah, these are neat. I know one of the guys in Menchell's Flathmaster, actually, one of the Canadian members has, I think he's got Kriss Vector in 45.
The real one.
Yeah, they're I don't know, like, they're interesting. They look a little space agey, but you know, I don't see a problem with them. I think they're kind of cool. Looks like something from Star Wars.
Yeah. I've never had an opportunity to fire one, so I have no idea what it's like
What-
to shoot.
But
But
there
it's
was one.
definitely got that goofy look.
But there was one at the bullpup shoot down.
Right, the one I was coming from Tennessee on my way back home. Yeah, that one.
Somebody who's interested in really training their mind would figure out a way to be in both places at the same time as part of the training.
I shed body and blood to train.
And toenail.
And toenail.
Well, don't give it away.
Yeah, I think they're cool. I didn't get to shoot a real one. I got to shoot a 9mm one, and it was cool.
The airsoft version.
Yeah, but it was cool though. I would love to shoot one. You know what? I want to see one in 10mm.
Yeah, and full auto.
I don't know. I'm sure they probably do, but I haven't seen one.
It feels like we just talked about the Vector the other day, didn't we?
No.
Oh, anyway, so maybe we were talking about it in some other chat. So I think they're neat. I think
It's like more online training.
no, I just remember having a conversation about the Vector the other day, I thought. So I think they're neat. I think it's cool to see innovation in technology, right? And the way that they operate. And aside from very few guns, everybody's just copying off of Browning, who made it all perfect. So all they're doing is changing things around from his perfection for the most part. This is one that just tossed everything on end and started new. It's huge and bulky. I kind of wish they'd almost be more popular so that they could refine it a bit, because they seem to have stuck with what they started with. But I still think it's neat. It's a neat step to see something different. And the first time we shot them, we weren't able to shoot full auto. It was at the SHOT Show thing, and kind of each year they have a little different rules about what they can shoot or not. And that year they were saying no full auto, but they were letting us do 3-round burst. And we only had crude video back then. This must have been like 2008 or something, either 8 or 10, I guess. And no, it must have been 8, because we didn't even have video yet. We just had the digital cameras that could do that 30-second little video burst that they could do back then. And even with that crude little video burst, Thumbs shooting a 3-round burst out of that gun, we were able to take 3 stills, lay them on top of each other with some transparency, and you could see that the gun didn't move at all. Like, it's really neat to be able to shoot 3 45s with the gun the muzzle not moving at all. That shows that mechanism really does what it says it's going to do.
Yeah, and I see Jimmy did find the 10mm one, so they do make one in 10 mil. A man's auto cartridge.
Since it was developed for the 45, I wonder if they just changed the mass, or if it still is, if it still operates the same way with such little rise, because that's such a big, much larger caliber, power-wise.
Yeah, I think it's just whatever system they're using is just that effective, that even when they up the recoil, it didn't seem to change from the videos I've seen it. I have never fired the 10mm or the 45, but yeah, it doesn't seem to change the recoil at all.
No, it looks about the same too. I mean, the same size anyways, but I'm sure they adjusted for that pressure somehow.
People from Chris are watching the show today, so just go ahead and send, it looks like, 4 of them. Smeggy didn't stay, so I guess he doesn't want one. So send 4 of the 10mm ones to us, and we'll do a video.
We'll do a test job. Too bad, Smeggy.
Yep. So
you snooze, you lose.
But that being said, they're like the Uzis now. I can't stand it with that barrel sticking out the front to be a rifle. And the pistol one's cool, but I guess with the pistol with a brace would be the best way to go. But since the first ones I ever seen were the little SPRs or the little full autos, the way they were designed to be, I just don't like it with that barrel sticking out the front to be compliant with stupid NFA. Drives me nuts having a big long barrel sticking out of what should be a sub gun.
Yeah. It's kind of like when they put the 16-inch barrel on the Uzis, eh?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the gun itself, when it's a real SBR, a real full auto, it is a really little neat compact space gun, little burp gun thing.
Yeah, I heard
It's
the
the same-
cyclic rate on them things are amazing.
I'm hoping they can do some sort of integrally suppressed thing that comes down the front. You know, the same way that they changed the trigonometry with their mass for the recoil. Hopefully they'll figure out a way to blow those gases back into that same mass so that it doesn't become a heck of a lot larger or hotter and doesn't have to be so dang long. You know, most suppressors nowadays are designed to be, accessories to a gun. So I'm really looking forward to the Share Act being through, since it already went through both houses of well, it's going through to the full house, right? So we've got hopefully some momentum there.
Now I know it came out of not commission but committee.
Not a committee, house.
Did you hear if Ryan was going to pull it up for a vote? Because I heard a week ago that he said it was not, the timing was not quite right.
I have not heard that, but I have not heard everything about it.
Okay, and maybe I heard it wrong too.
I hope you heard it wrong, because if that guy's gonna shit on it before it even has a chance, then that would suck. But anyway, whenever we do have suppressors, it'll definitely be cool to see a company like this one that isn't confined by the status quo to figure out a way to integrate some suppression into this giant machine. And that would really be neat.
They can make a suppressor that's kind of like a box, almost like a pack of smokes. It just goes on the front. That wouldn't really make it that much.
Well, they can just divert the gases back into their massive, recoil mass back there. The way that thing works is throwing the recoil down into that mass, right? So why not blow the gases back the same way the AA-12 uses its gases to lubricate itself and to clean it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure somebody can figure out a way to take those gases and make them useful, blow out the gun, and again, all they're really trying to do is make it not go supersonic, right? So all they got to do is relieve pressure. Anyway, I think this is the kind of company that's going to not be confined to the old-fashioned ways.
Yep. Yeah, they seem to have that mindset in their engineering department. And anyway, I don't know. That's our gun of the day. I think it's pretty cool. Even if
it weighs a and it costs a fortune, so until it weighs a lot less and costs a lot less, it's not for me.
Hardly anything new is for you.
Well, not true, but yeah, not everything.
Yeah, if it was made after like 47, it's like, well, what's the point? They've already made the perfect gun, right?
No, MAC-10 was made after that.
Yeah, but it's not even close to being a perfect gun.
I like
it. Now, we can wrap up the show now.
And on that note,
although I must say the MAC-10 does look like it'd be really easy to make. Some tin cans, bend them up.
Yeah, use a stop sign, bend it in channel. Got a mass from what? Melt some metal, I guess. Take a piece of railroad track, cut it up.
Yep, that'd work. Take some files, file it down, make it go thunk, thunk, thunk back and forth. That's all you need. Little piece of tubing for a barrel.
Yeah, piece of square tube for a mag. Done.
There you go.
Somebody needs to get Royal Nunsuch on that immediately.
There's actually quite a few MAC-10 builds out there. And they do look incredibly easy.
All right, before we move on, let's check out these comments out here. They said he'd like to get a Chris. You and me both.
Yeah, Tony says his buddy's got a Chris in 10 mil. It's fun to shoot.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, I would definitely imagine it would be. That's the one I want to get my hands on.
Yeah. Cool. I think if you're going to spend that kind of money, you might as well get the most you can out of it.
Oh, yeah. So I guess that'll bring us to the movie of the day. Pull this up here.
Oh, what do we have for a movie today?
This one was sent in by Clay over on the Daily Gun Show at Gmail. Let's see, Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger. Is that with Sylvester Stallone?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't think there was a lot. Well, I guess there's guns in that one, yeah. People have hijacked a bunch of money or something, and
Wait, what's the movie?
Cliffhanger.
Oh, okay.
yeah, people hijacked a bunch of money and were transferring it between one plane and the other, and something happened, and the plane crashed, and they lost some of the money, so they making Sylvester Stallone go get it for them because he was like Mr. Super Mountain Climber. And then he got to be his usual hero. And yeah, there's a fair bit of shooting in that, I guess. What'd they have for guns in that, though?
Let's see. I just pulled up the. So they got Beretta, Desert Eagle, Smith & Wesson Model 19, Taurus PP 99, unknown pistol. That's interesting. H&K 94, Mac 11, Mini Uzi, Steyr Mannlicher, Smith & Wesson 3000 shotgun, and other 5.1 Death Tech 37 mil launcher with an underslung Mac 10. I gotta see that. I want to see the unknown one too. That's kind of interesting. Why is it up? Oh, because you can't see it good. It appears to have the appearance of a Walther PP series. But yeah, this is one of the movies that I only saw like once and really don't remember all that great. But I do. I mean, it's a pretty good movie, and they got a lot of good guns in it.
Well, it's a typical Stallone movie, but other than that, it was okay. I'm not going to give it 2 thumbs. I'll give it 1 thumbs up. 1 thumb up. 1 thumb up for Stallone and his mountain climbing movie.
Yeah, I'll give it a thumb.
I never saw it, so NA, not applicable.
We kind of expected that anyway, Dano.
Yeah, well, and yeah, everybody knows when it comes to movie, I suck hard. No comments.
I've seen it, but I don't like it much. I don't remember liking it, so I'm not going to give it. I'm going to give it none. I'm not going to give it negative thumbs down or nothing. Though.
I'll give it a thumb up. It's not a must see, but you run across it on TV, I'd check it out.
Yeah, the grenade launcher with the Mac 10 under the barrel is a little weird.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I see him. So it's sideways. I see it. You got to flip down there gangster style.
Yeah.
So that was our movie of the day. Thanks for sending that in, Clay. And anybody else that wants to send in any movies of the day, any quizzes, anything at all, send it to the Daily Gun Show at gmail.com.
Checks, credit cards, cash, that's all good too.
Yeah. Yeah, there's also a Patreon, so if you want to consider winning the tactical quiz.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the Just Dano Show at patreon.com.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do we got left? Anything? Well, I guess just what's happening tonight, right?
What about history?
Oh, do we have any history?
I did not look yet. Hang on a second. Today in history.
Nothing.
Union, no, I'm just looking for something that's like related. Like there was one that was, weird. Edward II was killed by his wife or something. So, Union troops defeated Chickamauga Sikh refugee in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which was then besieged by Confederate troops.
Chickamauga, yeah, that was a big battle.
Let's see. 1942, British forces attacked Japanese in Burma.
Yay for Brits.
44, troops of the 7th Army invading southern France. Let's see here. Armenia granted independence from the USSR.
Yay, Armenia.
Oh, the Galileo space mission ends as the probe is sent into Jupiter's atmosphere where it is crushed. Let's see if we have any good birthdays today.
Do you think it was hardened and then taken over by the ghosts of Jupiter? Gave over all our secrets.
Yep. Well,
All the Plutonian.
the atmosphere there.
John Loudon McAdam, engineer who invented and gave his name to the macadamized roads. Or macadamized.
Would that be asphalt, I think?
Did you mention about Benedict Arnold?
What about him?
September 21st, 1780, Benedict Arnold commits treason. This day in history.
1780. That's not on here. That's crazy.
Well,
I get a daily email from the History Channel on this day in history.
well, I don't know if he committed treason.
Well, I'll read a quote if you want.
Bob
I'm
would think
saying
it's perfectly acceptable for a traitor to do whatever he was doing.
it's just that he was a British citizen at the time. So how could he commit treason?
Well, so was Washington. He was a British general.
Right. So Washington committed treason. Arnold
You heard us-
actually
you heard
tried
us,
to
Sam?
save the country.
He's talking shit about George Washington in our chat. Trying to defend Arnold. I knew there was a plan.
Well, I'm just saying, technically, it wasn't him who committed treason. It was everybody else.
No, not once you choose a side. If you choose a side of like the rebellion, no matter what uniform you're in, and then you say, well, although I'm on the rebellion side, I'm going to cheat.
He wasn't cheating. He was just like spying for the good guys.
Yeah, he was spying for the other team.
But they were the good guys. They were the ones trying to keep their poor country together.
To oppress us? Oh, that's
Trying to
right.
be-
You're still under the thumb of the crown. I forgot. Canadian Canuckhead.
See, here we celebrate Benedict Arnold.
The podcast Bob in a high castle.
Yeah, it took me a while to remember. Oh, yeah, that's right. He still bends a knee.
Well, it's Thursday, so that means Jimmy did the early watch show. He does that right before this show. So if this show starts too late for you, or you think the show is awesome and you can't get enough of it, then try tuning in a little bit earlier over on Gun Channels. Early watches right before this one. Then, of course, our show starts at noon Eastern. That's 9 a.m. Pacific. After this, Pants and Pawnery usually alternate, right? Or together run a lobby chat. Then in the afternoons, there's slots open. Sometimes the lobby will run all the way up to the primetime show, sometimes not, depending on what those guys are, where they're launching it from work or home or what. And if anybody's interested in running the show, there's plenty of opportunities, plenty of time slots. They're in the daytime slots, mid-afternoon. Then once you get to quote-unquote prime time, today's Thursday, so we've got Tack Daddy, does a show out of Florida. Clover Tack does an after show out of Texas, and every other week Yankee Marshall does his show from Washington State. And I think this is the week for Yankee again, right?
Yeah, it should be. It's let's see here. Yeah, shooting up the center, 10 p.m. Eastern.
Right on. And I don't know if Matt does a Patreon chat. Do you guys know if Matt is on the road or is he still in Texas?
I have no clue.
Okay. So that's what's happening on Gun Channels. And of course, tomorrow, early watch, and then we'll be back here same time, noon Eastern.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. So if nobody has anything else, we'll end with our quote. And today's quote is by Theodore Roosevelt. Teddy was a cool dude. Anyway, before that, I just want to remind everybody, please like, share, subscribe, thumb up our video.
Interrupt you too, Bob, and mention again that I'm on the Gun Show Loophole Tour. I think you guys mentioned it earlier, but we're driving around the country checking out new gun shops. I checked out a shop here in Ohio this morning. We check out gun shows when possible on the weekends, and we got the Gun Rights Policy Conference coming up here at the end of the month. That's once a year for like 3 decades now. The Second Amendment Foundation gets together all the gun owners' rights groups, and they take the stage one at a time, give us all a sit rep of what they've been up to, what challenges they see in the future, and what resources they might need, so that we can better work together in all of our various areas of interest, but towards the same goal, furthering the Second Amendment rights and the rights of gun owners. That's towards the end of the month, but until then, we're driving around looking at shops. So anybody that thinks that's a good idea and would like to see that continue, definitely could use the support financially and in other ways. Easiest way to check that out is at gunshowloopholetour.com is the name of the website, or over on Patreon. The gun website's Patreon, and that's where you can help financially. But really, a lot of the help is just done by a little bit of effort, helping to share the project, share the concept. The point here is not to get Brownells or some big company to float the trip. I'd rather have a dollar from thousands of people to see something like this happen, where we get to do what we want and say what we want, as opposed to some company whose ultimate goal would be to have us sell you stuff. It's not something I'm interested in. I've never run the channels that way, never run our videos that way, or any of our projects really. And hopefully we can continue with that goal. And the only way we can do that is through the financial help of the individuals out there, and the help of people like Pink here, who's helping me with getting some things fixed on the van. And like I say, the support of people that think it's a good idea and don't have, or already have financially helped out, or don't feel like financially helping out, but helping out by sharing the project out there. So when Bob does this little thing at the end of the show, it's not just boilerplate. This is our passion. We appreciate the interactivity of this new media. We do the show in a way that is not the most financially lucrative, and our ability to continue going forward is from the generosity and the support of our listeners. So what Bob says at the end of the show here is critical. And again, thanks for everybody who's making it possible. It's been a great adventure. We've collected lots and lots of video on the Gun Show Loophole Tour. Really looking forward to getting that out to people. We're looking for help with that. We'll be Jimmy and I will be talking about that in future shows. So if you've got some creative inspirations, or if you're already able with video editing or doing some graphical stuff, and you want to participate in helping getting some of the stuff online, stay tuned for that. But I'll let Bob finish off the show here. But again, thanks everybody for supporting what we're doing, and stay tuned for lots and lots of reports about what we've been out here doing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've kind of been getting some of the inside scoop on what's going on with the tour, and it's exciting. The kind of stuff that's going on is the kind of stuff that can only be done with the support of everybody else out there on YouTube, the ones physically helping, as well as the ones who are helping monetarily. So big thanks to everybody who does do that. Anyway, we'll get on with our quote. Theodore Roosevelt: "The only man who never makes a mistake is a man who never does anything," which I think is quite appropriate for You know, nobody else is doing this gun show local tour like we are. So
I'm definitely wrong. That should be the quote for our show. That's awesome. I love that quote.
yeah, I like it. Yeah, Roosevelt was a cool dude. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching and listening, and we'll see you all tomorrow for Friday's show.
The guys and gals of GunWebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching GunWebsites.com.